This episode is brought to you by Generate Solutions, your go-to AI experts specializing in empowering commercial real estate companies and environmental consulting firms. As AI is quickly transforming industries and enhancing efficiency, it is important you don't let your business fall behind. At Generate Solutions, we streamline workflows and automate tasks by creating custom AI agents tailored specifically to your business needs. Interested in taking your operations to the next level with AI? Email mfiorante@generatesolutions.com or find us directly on LinkedIn by clicking the link in the bio. On to our episode.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of A Conversation with John Conenna. Today we go down that path that I love, and it's the path of goaltending and hockey. And of course, goaltending, as I was on the amateur level. Today we speak to a gentleman who's had a brilliant career behind the pipes, but even a more brilliant career as that executive. And today we're going to talk to the Chicago Wolves, Vice Chairman, Governor of the Chicago Wolves, Wendell Young. Wendell's career speaks for itself, and today is really a thrill for me to have him on. I have thought about this for a long time, and when he said yes to me a couple of days ago, I was thrilled. Wendell, what's going on with you, young man? And I think you look a little busy these days, but what is going on?
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I'm busy in the days, make sure the Wolves are running well. That's basically what I do. I've through this organization, fortunately, I've been a player, I've been a coach, I've been a GM, and now more an executive than anything. Not so much on the hockey side, but more of the business side, just overseeing generally everything about the franchise. So it's something different every day, put it that way.
Can imagine, the things that are thrown at you. And of course, when we talk about change, the changes have got to be unbelievable. Well, I got to ask you, being a ex-goalie on the amateur level, just playing in Illinois, have always wanted to, and the dream for me was to be a goaltender and come up the steps behind number 35, Tony Esposito, in the old stadium. It never happened. How does it start for you, the passion for that position, before we get into everything else here today?
I grew up in the East Coast of Canada, so the Boston Bruins were our team, and where I'm from. Most of my friends and everything growing up in the East Coast, they're Montreal or Toronto fans, but we just got cable in like 1972 or something, and we got the Boston station, so that's when the Bruins were winning it, and Bobby Orr. So Bobby Orr was my hero. So when I started playing hockey, I wore number 4 on D my first year. No thought about being a goalie, none. Come to the playoffs, we have a snowstorm. Our goalie can't make it, doesn't make it to the game. The coach comes in the room. Who wants to be a goalie? Every kid put their hand up. Now, my older brother was a goalie also, and I didn't put my hand up. My dad goes, "You sure you don't want to play?" I don't want to be a goalie. And the coach goes, "Wendell, you're playing because I can't pick amongst everyone else. You're the odd one. You got to go play goal." And I'm like, "I don't want to play goal."
Wow.
So I went in goal. I can still remember the shot. I still remember the play. Guy came down, took a wrist shot, and I stopped it with my blocker. And then it was just an epiphany from there. I'm like, this is the coolest thing that ever could happen. And I ended up with a 10-0 shutout. I think I might have had 4 shots, but I was bitten. And if anyone's ever had kids, and when they're younger and you're trying to get through to them and trying to reason with them and you can't reason with them, this is the story. So the next game, our goalie's back. And I'm like to my dad, "Why can't I play goal? I want to play goal." And I still remember being in the hallway of the old Halifax Forum. It's still there. And him trying to explain to me, and I knew he couldn't get through. I could just see it as plain as day right now. And he couldn't get through to me. He couldn't get through to me, and he's trying to explain it. It was one of those things that I just wouldn't reason with him. I just want to play goal. I don't want to go play D. I want to play goal. So I had a passion for it. Like that first shot that hit my blocker, that drove my passion, and from then and on, but I got that back when I try to reason with my kids when they were younger and
Yeah,
they didn't comprehend. But at least I
exactly.
had a frame of mind going, oh, that was me when my dad was trying to get
Right.
be a goalie. But that's how I became a goalie. And
Wendell, how old were
something
you?
happened that I really liked it.
How old were you when yeah,
I
that
was like I
happened?
was like 5 or 6 years old. That was my
Okay,
first play.
so
So I was just a little kid.
I thought for sure you were going to tell me that Jerry Cheever, Stitchmaster, Eddie Johnston at the time were the two goaltenders in Boston growing up.
That was a big thing. I watched those guys, and
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough again in my career, and I've been around long enough that I've met Gary Cheevers and had a long conversation. And Eddie Johnson was actually my coach in
Oh, well.
Pittsburgh when I went back. So, like, if you're around the game long enough, you pretty well run into almost everybody in some form. And
Oh my God.
there's a lot of people playing hockey, but it's a really small world. And I've been fortunate. And again, like the Bruins are my favorite team. So I have Phil Esposito as my GM. The
Yep.
assistant coach is Wayne Cashman, which I had a bond with. We became friends. And Bobby Orr and Hodge, his son played on the Lightning, so he was on. So all Kenny Hodge and all these guys that I've run into that were former Bruins, like I'm in fantasy. It was like fantasy camp for me. It was fantasy world, and I'm getting to meet players from the Boston Bruins, and uh, it was so cool to go into the Boston Gardens after that too, and actually play games in the Boston Gardens.
It's just incredible. And all those guys you just mentioned, Cashman, Hodge, and I'm sure you met O'Reilly and all those guys, Espo and Dallas Smith. I can still remember them on the Saturday night games playing the Hawks and just those battles, of course. And then, of course, every time I think of Boston, I think of Phil scored on Tony. It seemed like Phil, every shot he took went in on Tony.
Yeah, yeah,
Great.
that's exactly. And they were a funny dynamic together. They were like the epitome of brothers. Like they'd be ripping on each other, but they had so much respect for each other at the same time. Like they were awesome. They were funny to be around, and they had great sense of humor. Hockey icons, and
Oh,
just
for
just
sure.
just to
Oh my
have them, and just and again, here I am like a nobody from the north end of Halifax where I grew up, and here I am sitting with Hall of Famers and having a beer with them, and just it's like and there's no pretense of anything. It's that everyone's just we're just hockey players, and that's
Hockey
the way they
players.
look at it. And I'm set, and they look at it that way. I'm looking at it. I'm sitting with the Hall of Famers, and these are guys I idolized when I was growing up.
Right. Incredible. Like, how do you now get noticed? Is it in the OHL or is it before the OHL, before you went to the Kitchener Rangers? Who notices Wendell Young?
Well, back in the day, and again, I would sound like I'm a million years old, but I'm old enough that there wasn't a lot of scouting. There was a few scouts around. So where I'm from in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey, there's the Quebec League and then there's the Ontario League. And at the time where I'm from, the Maritimes, both you could get drafted to both leagues.
Okay.
I ended up getting noticed. I come to find out I was after the fact because there was no true ratings and no one knew anything. But I come to find out that I was the number one rated goalie in Canada. I was 15, 16, and I was playing in a tier two junior. So I was playing against 20 and 21-year olds, and I ended up making the all-star team, and we won our league and blah blah blah. So I got noticed, and I was the top ranked. So that's how I end up with Kitchener. I didn't get drafted to the Quebec League, and because I come to find out they had my wrong age down. I was going to be a high pick or not, or maybe the first pick the next year, but whoever scouted the Maritimes for the Quebec League put my wrong age down. And the reason I found this out, my best friend to this day got drafted to Laval. He ended up playing with Mario the next year, I think, or the year after. Played for get to Laval, but the Laval owner came down to sign him, and I'm over his house, and his dad, my buddy's dad, asked the owner, like, why didn't Wendell get drafted to Quebec? He goes, no, 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 he'll get drafted next year. He might go first overall. He's going to be or minimum a high pick. And my buddy's dad goes, no, he's the same age as Stan, his son. And he goes, no way. He goes, and then he looks at me, he goes, Wendell, how old are you? and I gave him my age and my birthday, and he goes, and then he went full press trying to sign me. But ironically enough, while I'm up, this is going on, my sister called me and said, there's a guy named Mike Penny, which was the GM, the guy that drafted me to Kitchener, and he ended up going on to Vancouver, is on his way in from the airport to meet up, come to the house and meet up with you. So I said, hey, I got to pause this. I'm going down. Now, here's my best friend, and he's going to Laval, and I actually forego that and end up going to Kitchener, and everything turned out unbelievable for me. It was a great decision on my side in hindsight. And I talked about this Mike Penny. The next year, I got drafted to Vancouver, where he was a was a scout for Vancouver. So there's always a connection to somebody.
Something, yeah, like that camaraderie that goes around. Yeah, because it's Vancouver is really the first NHL team, correct for you, right? The first NHL
Yeah,
team is Vancouver, like in the
exactly.
mid 80s, like 85.
I got drafted, I think, in 81 or 82,
Okay.
and my pro, and then it was, I think, my third year in is when I ended up playing games for Vancouver. But a couple things at my draft. So going again with this, what it was like before, you didn't have all these rankings and all these things and all these guys and all the draft rankings. We didn't know. The rankings came out in January of my first year of junior in Kitchener. So I was 17, and the rankings came out, and then all of a sudden scouts started. Like I had no idea. I didn't think I could get drafted. I didn't think I could play pro hockey. I didn't think I could get drafted to play pro hockey or anything. And all of a sudden agents started calling because the ratings came out. The first ratings were in January. So when the ratings came out, the scouts started calling and soliciting us. Now, uh, getting drafted, after the junior year I went back to my hometown, went back to my old high school to finish the year, and I was at school when I got drafted, and no one went to the draft. I got drafted. I went to school. I came home, and my mom says, "Hey, someone from Vancouver called." And I go, "Well, it's draft day. I might have got drafted by Vancouver. I don't know." And 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, my agent calls and said, "Hey, you got drafted by Vancouver." So that's how I got drafted. I was at school. I was literally in school and I got drafted. I didn't go to. I didn't. You don't go to the draft. There was no internet back then, so no one paid attention to that. So that's and then I ended up going to Vancouver. But I think Mike Penny, which brought me to Kitchener, was a big push for me also because
For sure. I have to ask you, with these leagues, when you start in the O, or even when you were younger, did you see this progression of, like when I went from high school to college here in Illinois, I felt like I went from stopping the regular puck. Now I see an aspirin tablet coming in, and I had my eyes checked, and the guy goes, he sees perfectly. Well, then why does this puck look like an aspirin tablet? Because it's getting by me. Did you see that, it's like some guys progress to a level? Did you see yourself continually, okay, I got this? There was a progression where with the reflex and the position itself.
well, I never thought I was good enough to play at any level. I didn't think I was good enough to play at major junior. I never had that strut or cockiness of that I'm that good. I was always nervous going to games. Maybe I'm not good enough to play, and I don't want to play bad and hurt my team and my teammates and everything. So I never felt that. I'll give you a story back to junior. I lived with three guys. It was me and two other guys, and we were having a conversation why we're playing major junior, where we left our hometowns, left everyone behind, came and stayed with this family. Why are we doing it? I said, well, it's just the next level of hockey for me. And I go, why are you guys here? They go, because we're going to get drafted. I go, you guys think you're good enough to be drafted? I go, you guys out of your mind? I said, they go, no, that's why we're here. Why would you play? I go, I'm just playing because it's the next highest level I can play. I said, just the progression. I said, they're gods. They're like, you really think you can get drafted and play in the NHL? Well, fast forward to two guys. It's Mike Eagles. He played like 15, 16, 17 years in the NHL. The other guy's Al McGinnis, that's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. So that tells you like a little bit my mindset. Like they had a goal of playing the NHL. Mine was a dream that I never thought I would attain. It's like me buying a lottery ticket. Like, do I think I'm going to buy? And I don't think I'm going to win. But talking about the progression, it's just the next level. So I played junior, then I get to play pro in the American League, and then after a while you go, I can play here. And it's the same thing when I got to the NHL. I'm like, okay, these are a lot of guys I played junior against. So, and I stopped them in junior. I can stop them in the NHL. So, but you see they don't miss the net as much as when I played junior. The passes are on. You got to
Yeah,
be
they're
more
crisp. Yeah.
more focused, and you learn a lot. You learn a lot about the shooters from a goalie standpoint. You learn the game. Like, I didn't have a goalie coach back then. It was trial and error. Everything I did was trial and error. Like, I didn't really have a goalie coach my whole career. Like, I really didn't.
Wow.
It was all trial and error. Like, even, I played parts of 10 years in the NHL and basically didn't have a goalie coach. I had somebody there a few times, like Joey Milosh in Pittsburgh, and yeah, I didn't have a goalie coach. And that's the goalie coaches came in so far behind everything else, all especially, which I think it should have been the first thing because you need a goalie. But it was just trial and error. But you make the next progression all the time, and you realize, and I come to use that with players, especially like players that were on our team here when I was coaching or GM, and players would go up and play a game or two and they come down, and I would go, you can play up there now, right? And they're like, yeah. I go, you didn't know before. I go, but you can skate as fast as them. You can shoot like them. I said, you just got to get more focused or whatever. And it's the same thing when guys come up to our league from the East Coast League. When they get up here and start to see it, they can fit in. Like, they're not short because they never did. And now they get up here and say, okay, I can play here. I can, if I focus, and I can play at this level. So a lot of you don't know till you get there. Even first rounders, like a lot of first rounders fail. And you don't know. You don't know until you get there. And then all of a sudden, the bottom line is you're going to work as hard as you can to stay there. And that's the biggest thing with all these people.
I have to tell you, thank you for bringing it up that way, because like when you said, there was no, let's say a goalie coach there, like a Stan Dubicki or a Jimmy Waite. They weren't there. Yeah, you knew though, if your angles were off the night before in your own mind, there was no YouTuber go Google. Oh, let me see, Wendell, what did you do? You knew, hey man, I was off on that guy. I was maybe cheating on the short side of the net. That was perfectly said by you, because now you had to get ready probably in 24 hours to play that next game and revamp. Wendell Young had to come back and say, learn from those mistakes quickly, what he remembered.
That's exactly. We didn't have all our games on video. Like, there's games I played in the NHL that there's no video of it because it wasn't broadcast. So it's like, so it seems so crazy now, but that's the way it was. And we really didn't have video. So you just played by memory and what you're doing. And it was trial by error. Like, what worked, what didn't work. Oh, that works.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm going to stay with that. If it doesn't, you change things. And, to be honest, there was some guessing and there was a bunch of things going on, but there wasn't. And when you see goaltending now, and it really, like, in the mid to late 90s into the 2000s, the goalies were big and they were just playing their angles, and because they can go on the butterfly, and it was all playing percentages. If I'm here, the puck should hit me. And you also got to be, what the problem was, they just went over and they just try to block the puck instead of saving the puck. Sometimes you got to make a move to stop the puck. And now the goalies are so good. They're they're so big, they're so athletic, they're so quick. Everything is mechanical, but they're so athletic stopping the puck. And they keep for years harping how goal scoring's down, goal scoring's down. It's because goaltending is so good. Their equipment is so good. They don't get hurt from a shot. I've had more broken bones and bruises and so many injuries because the puck hit me in spots that there was no padding. Now these guys get hit with 100-mile and they don't even feel it. So between all the training and the video and the goalie coaches and all the work, goaltending is so good. And that's the main reason why goal scoring is down. Bobby Hull, unbelievable. Hall of Famer, one of the greatest. But a lot of his goals, he came down the wing and blasted the puck. If a goalie let that goal in now, he'd be pulled. Because they would say, well, it would be a bad goal. Listen, there's passes across the crease and they're saying the goalie should have it. Like, our expectations because goalies are so good, our expectations are so high on the goalies. Like 2-on-1s, like things that 2-on-1s, oh, it was a good shot or that was a good pass. No, you expect the goalie to stop every shot now. Back we had the thing, oh, that was he picked the corner, he deserves it. That's not the way it is anymore. Goalies are so good these days. Like even the so-called average goalies are phenomenal.
That your backup has to be the guy. I mean, if you're, I mean, we can say we'll use that word, the backup, right? But like you said, Hall coming down. I remember Hall shooting. I was just watching a video of Hall on an old goalie who was a former Boston Bruin, Bruce Gamble, and he lighted him up in Toronto from center ice, where Gamble's glove reminded me of like an old cartoon where the puck was in the net, and the glove was going up. You know, so you're just like, yeah, that would be unheard of nowadays. But here's the thing that you just said that is fantastic. From 1980 to 2001, when you played your last game, when you turn on that television or that radio, we don't know what Wendell Young is going through. A bruise, a cracked rib, your knee, something. It just, I mean, can you imagine? And then here we are as that fan saying, oh, yeah, can you believe Young the night he let in those 2 goals? We don't know that your knee's been wrenched around a post the game before and, it's been swollen. This is the bumps and the grinds and the bruises, of course, of the goaltending position or of any position in hockey. It's amazing.
Yeah, I like because it came over a period of time where, because of my experience, I have more compassion for athletes, not just hockey players, all athletes. Um, and when they say, oh, they have a bad game, or you watch the NHL playoffs, go to the Stanley Cup and then see how many guys are injured after the thing. No one knows. There could be issues at home, like, maybe their kids are sick. Like, you don't know. And so when you be careful as a fan, when you criticize an athlete, because you don't know what injuries he's going through. You don't know what he's going through mentally. You don't know what is going on. Like, he could have somebody sick in the family that, he's fighting through it just to play the game. So you don't know. So be careful when you're so critical of an athlete, and, being a hockey player, more protective of the hockey players, because quite honestly, hockey players, and I've seen it, they play through so much pain. They play through so many injuries. If a hockey player is not playing, he's got to be really, really, he's not injured. He's not hurt. He's really, really injured. There's a difference between playing hurt and being injured. Like,
Sure.
so, like, and not to knock other sports, but I think some guys are just hurt and they don't play. You really have to have an injury not to play in hockey. And because you'll be called out by your teammates. We police our own dressing room, and there's a
Sure.
level of, like, you've seen the videos where guys get hit in the face with a puck and they're out, they get
Yeah.
sewn up and their back out. Like, if that happened in another sport, I don't think it would not
He could
happen.
be
It
out for the
wouldn't
whole
happen.
time. I remember when
Yes.
Duncan Keith got hit in the face and all his teeth are flying around
Yeah.
the United Center.
And
He was back out there, stitched up,
yeah,
no teeth. Incredible, right?
that's exactly, and that's why, when you run into other athletes, they just think hockey players are crazy and they have a respect, and I think they're on a little bit of an edge when they meet hockey players, because they don't know they know that most hockey players aren't all there. They think there's a crazy
You
spot
know,
there. And so they're on a little bit of eggshells around hockey players, because they don't know how the hockey player is going to be, because to play the game, you got to be a little crazy.
they talked about goaltending like you were a goaltender. Oh, Wendell Young's nuts. Well, the rest of them are nuts too. So yeah,
Oh,
whatever.
100%. I try to put that. I go, but if you really want to know that, I go, and I always say this, I go, you guys are the ones that have lost teeth and have all these scars. I said, I
Yeah.
wore a mask. I said, I have all my own teeth. I said, and then I go, I have no scars from playing goal. I said, I've got a bunch of other injuries, but so do you guys. But you guys lost teeth. I wore a mask. Maybe I was a smart one.
I want to tell our audience, Wendell, that you are probably still one of the only player in hockey history that have won all 4 cups. When we talk about from your start in '81 to 2001, you had the Memorial Cup, Calder Cup, Turner Cup, and of course Stanley Cup. Once we get to it's the, of course, you played on the Canucks in the NHL, the Philadelphia Flyers, the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. And before you came to the Wolves, you have back-to-back Stanley Cup rings, correct?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough. You went through that list, and I've been fortunate enough to play with so many great hockey players,
Wow.
and be fortunate enough to be on so many great teams. And I could have been on a team with a bunch of superstars and not won any cups, but at the same time, I was on great teams. Not just we had a lot of really good superstar players on every team, but we had good teams, like the bond of our teams and everything. But the two Stanley Cups, like I said, I was in the right place at the right time. I should be literally buying lottery tickets because I feel I'm lucky wherever I go, because to be that fortunate in a career. I know some unbelievable hockey players that never had a chance to win a cup at any level. And I think I'm a part of like 9 different cups. Like, I've had multiple ones with the Wolves and multiple uh, with the Penguins and just Memorial Cup and stuff. So I've been so fortunate in my life, and
Fantastic.
and just even with that, we were in the finals another like 4 or 5 times like in my career. So
Yeah.
for like I've been blessed in hockey, and just being in the game right now. I know I'm blessed every day being in hockey, but being on great teams. And Johnny Anderson, the great Johnny Anderson, our coach here with the Wolves, I didn't realize this, and we're talking one day over a beer, and he goes, "Do you realize the teams you had in Pittsburgh and Hall of Famers?" And again, they're my teammates, they're like friends, and I don't think of it that way. But he started naming, and I think one team had 8 or 9 Hall of Famers. Just one of them. Like if you go
Mm.
Lemieux, Yager, Mark Recchi, Paul Coffey,
Francis.
Larry Murphy, Francis, Trottier, Barrasso. Like if
Wow.
Kevin Stevens didn't get hurt, he probably would have been in the Hall of Fame. Joey Mullen is a Hall of Famer.
Oh, what a
So,
player.
and that's basically all on one team.
Wow.
And then,
Yeah.
again, like I talked about, like Al McGinnis was my uh, uh, roommate. I lived with him for 3 years in Kitchener, and he's in the Hall of Fame. So the privilege to play with a lot of Hall of Famers, and then again, that goes to how lucky I've been in my career to be around great teams and great players, and more so like great people. It's the common denominator on every one of our championship teams. We had an unbelievable group of guys, and every team that wins, and they'll say the same thing. You can't win a championship with a bunch of bad people.
Right.
You win with great people, and that's why when we get together, we have reunions. And we just had a Kitchener Ranger reunion a couple of years ago. I think it was the 40-year reunion or whatever. And I go, 40 years? That wasn't that long since we won it. It's kind of like, oh my God, I am 60. So it was unbelievable because there was basically not one thing talked about what happened on the ice. It was all about stupid stuff we did off the ice, or we did that, things that were said or done, and we were laughing our heads up. And it was like we were like, I didn't see some guys for 20, 30 years. And it was like I saw them yesterday. So that goes to that whole team concept, and teams win championship, organizations win championships, individual players don't win championships.
Fantastic. And then, after this Pittsburgh run, and listen, during that run in Pittsburgh, of course, I think it's the 90-91 season, 91-92 with the back-to-backs. You, of course, beat Minnesota in 91, and I know you came to Chicago and beat us up in 92. And I still remember that game. We're up 4-1, and Yager decides he's going to skate around everybody in the last minute. And I don't know what the Hawks were doing on defense, but we lose 5-4. But anyway, you come to the Chicago Wolves 1995-96. And I think at that time, the other goalie was Ray LeBlanc. I want to say it was Ray LeBlanc.
Yep.
And we had just heard that you were coming because I used to go out to Franklin Park Ice Arena to watch them skate sometimes with Al Secord and Gordy Roberts and the whole show. And of course, Gino Briaco. I think the tide turns when you come here, because this tie, I felt like they built it around you. Your thoughts?
Um, they didn't build a team around me, but I think part of it, again, I've been around so many championship teams. I kind of knew what the dressing room should be like, even more than being on the ice, and just let's have fun and work hard. Let's be a good let's be good teammates. Let's be good to each other. Let's have fun. Let's and I like all my captains over my years and when I was coach or GM, I always wanted a captain to be a gatherer. And when I say a gatherer, like you don't have to be the top player to be your captain. You need somebody that's going to lead your guys. Call your guys out once in a while if they're not working hard or not doing what's told. But the guy that says doesn't go to two or three guys after practice, hey, I'm going for lunch. You take the whole team. You grab the whole team. You're like, hey, I'm going for lunch here. So and so is coming. Or who's in? And you bring the team. You gather people. And I think that's probably my biggest contribution when I first came. I was always trying to pull people together. I had the first Christmas party at my house, which a quick story on that. So my wife says to me, uh, our schedule was really tight around Christmas. My wife says, ask the single guys if they want to come over Christmas Eve, somewhere to go. I don't want them at home by themselves, on their first Christmas or whatever. So invite them over. So we had like 4 or 5 single guys, and I went to them. I said, hey, come on over to the house on Christmas Eve. Hey, hang around. I said, my kids are young. I said, we'll have some drinks. I'll have some food. My wife will cook up something, and we'll be good and just have a relax. So like 2 days before Christmas, I got some other guys coming. They go, so the party's at your house. And I go, what party? They go, well, Christmas Eve's at your house. And I'm like, then I went in the dressing room. I go, do you guys all think you're coming to my house on Christmas Eve? And they were like, yeah. I go, where'd you hear that? Well, the single guys, they just assumed there was a party for everyone. And they were told everyone there was a party at my house. So now I'm calling my wife like 2 days before Christmas and going, hey, that 4 people that turned into like 44. We couldn't cater. It was too close. Now my wife's like cooking like crazy. Like it was one of the funnest times ever. Like I'm literally in Binny's with 2 shopping carts because we had a team that liked to drink. 2 shopping carts, and I mean it was unbelievable amount that was drink. We were worried we lost guys. They're like I was worried. They went down to the neighbor's house. So there was one of those nights where it was so funny. But it was that. But that's just an example of the bonding of like you bring everyone together in a party or whatever, or when you're going out, everyone's in. And that stems from Don Levin, our owner of the Wolves,
Oh, yeah.
is a fantastic person, but he preaches family. He wants the team to be together. He had more dinners for our team and parties, and he enjoyed having everyone together, and it's just not the guys, it's the whole team, it's the wives. Like we had, dinners with the kids, and we had wives dinners, and we had more things that brought the team together. And so I think my contribution the first year was actually showing everyone how pro successful team does it and how
Wow.
we are off ice. It's not a bunch of superstars. And we had a really good team. And we made the playoffs our first year here and stuff. And Gino Bracco, Grant Mulvey did a fantastic job bringing guys in and bringing in a lot of local guys too, which brought some interest. And like Al Secord coming in, and just having that type of situation
Sure.
was phenomenal. I think it was a great uh, foundation for our franchise that's been around for 32 years. A lot of minor league teams come in and go, but the standard that was set by Don Levin and the people he brought in and the organization brought in, I think set the standard for the team.
What a commitment. I have to say, well, when you talk 94, 95, and we're still going here, and just the commitment level and everything else. And again, I know you have Stanley Cups rings and the memorial and the turn, what did it mean to win those team awards when you guys won those championships as a Chicago Wolf goaltender?
Well, it was it doesn't matter what level, what sport, whatever you're
You're
doing,
right.
you want to win a championship. Don't start the season. Don't play if you don't want to win a championship. Go play recreational hockey if you don't want to be a part of a championship. If you don't want to do everything that you can possibly do, you don't want to sacrifice, don't be on it. And that's kind of the standard we set. Like, if you don't want to be part of that, ask for a trade, get away from us, because we're here for one reason. and there's a lot of seasons you go in, there's a slim chance you're going to win it because you know your team's not good enough. But if you don't make that commitment to try to win every night and try to win a championship, so at the end of the season, especially with the Wolves, like the first one, it kind of completed that I became the only player to win the four different cups. That was a really cool thing. But the fact that you know I got a chance to win championships other times, and playing for the Wolves was kind of the end part of my playing career, and to win championships, still to
Sure.
win championships and bring it together, and just for our fan base, everyone around, families, and more so for Don Levin that really, really set the standard and set the standard of winning. Like he wanted to have fun. He wanted us to work hard, have respect, all about family, but he demanded to win too, and he wanted to win. I've never met somebody that likes to win like him. I
Yeah.
think that's where we get along so well because I hate losing and I love winning, and he's got the same mindset.
Yeah, great work ethic, and that he is instilled, and of course we see it in you. I ask you, after this Wolves career, and of course this great goaltending that you had all these years and playing this position, and then of course now, are you approached by a living? Who approaches you to say, "Hey, Wendell, are you going home? Are you going back to Nova Scotia here to party? Or can you stay in Chicago to help us?" How does this now get to you to the level that you got being the executive?
So a little bit of backstory. Kevin Shoveldayoff, which is the GM of the Winnipeg Jets now, uh, when I decided to retire from playing, I went to lunch with Don Levin, and then I went to lunch with Chevy, with Kevin, and we're sitting there, and I'm just telling you I'm going to retire because we were going into the American League. The I had just ended, and we lost in the finals of the International League, and we're gonna have Atlanta as our affiliate, and it's an AHL affiliate owned by an NHL team. So they're gonna want their two goalies playing. And I could have kept playing, and I basically told Chevy, I said, Chevy, you know what? I'm gonna save you a big hassle and me a big hassle, because what's gonna happen if I say I'm gonna play next year, you're going to tell me I'm not going to play that much, and by the end of the year, I'm going to play most of the games, and then you're going to get in trouble, and I'm going to get in trouble. So, and I'm at the point now I'm ready to step away. So he goes, so what do you want to do? I said, actually, I want your job. And he looked at me, he started laughing. He goes, it's not available, is it? And I go, no. I said, so when you leave, I'd like to take your job. And he goes, okay. He goes, so what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I got some offers. I got things going on. And so when I met with Don Levin, Don goes, what do you want to do? And I said, he goes, you want to stay in hockey? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, become my president. And I go, I don't want the president job. He goes, I'm offering to be the president of my organization. I said, Don, two things. I don't want a title because I like to work and I want to work, and I just don't want a title. I said, I just don't want to have a title. And so I go, you haven't had a president in I don't know how many years. I go, so you're just giving me a title. He goes, so what do you got going on? And I said, well, the Calgary Flames want me to be their goalie coach. And I said, he goes, well, what do you think of that? I said, well, they want me to go there full time. And I told them I'm not moving to Calgary and I'm not doing it full time. So they've offered me that I could go in there for like a week in the Calgary and a weekend to their minor league team. He goes, okay, are you going to take that? I said, well, maybe. He goes, well, if you take that, I'm still going to hire you in some capacity. So I needed like community relations, and I couldn't be on the hockey side because of my connection with the Calgary Flames, but I did a lot of stuff off ice, a lot of the like charity and communications, all that stuff for a couple of years. And then it came to a point where Kevin Sholdayoff asked me to go into what's it going to take for you to stay here and be the goalie coach and conditioning coach. So I end up being, so I said, yeah, I'm in. I'm going to work with the Chicago Wolves. So, and Kerry Letton was drafted by Atlanta, and they wanted a goalie coach for him. So I became assistant coach, goalie coach, conditioning coach, video
Wow.
coach. I was the only one of the coaches who knew how to turn on a computer at the time. So I had all these titles. Like I had a big array of titles, which was a lot of work, but at the same time, in hindsight, I got to learn so much
Sure.
the game. And I know this is a long story, but when Chevy did end up taking the assistant GM job with the Hawks, I got a call from Don Levin and said, would you be interested in being GM? And I said, of course I do. He goes, okay, we got to meet. So I met with Don Levin and Donnie Wendell, which was the GM of Atlanta, and we went to dinner and they gave me the job, and I've had the job for, I don't know, it was 15, 16 years or whatever. It was a GM. So that's how it happened. Chevy was unbelievable because I knew a lot about hockey. I've owned parts of major junior A teams like in Halifax and Sherbrooke and Lewiston and the Quebec League and stuff. So I knew a lot of the business side. I knew a lot of things that were going on, but there is so many little things that as a GM, like the bylaws of the league and the constitution, all these things of the league that people don't think of that have to be known. You got to know the things,
Sure.
but you got to abide by everything. So there was a lot. Like Chevy would go work, and he's new to the Hawks, so he's down there doing all these things. But after every day, he would come out and sit with me for hours after he was done, and sit with me, and I'd have pages of questions.
I can imagine.
The procedures of the Wolves and all that stuff. And he would just walk me through everything. It was unbelievable. The transition was so easy because of Chevy and the time he put in for me to be successful and stuff like that. But and again, I think being a goalie, you got that analytic mind. You look at hockey. There's not a lot of ex goalies that are coaches. They're all in management or broadcasting. They are
Right.
like I was one time. I was hurt in Tampa. I'm doing color for the radio, and I'm in the press box, and whoever we were playing, and then the Rangers were playing the next night. I think there was like 12 or 14 ex goalies amongst all the broadcasters. So it was unbelievable. So you look, and I didn't realize that when I get to like the Board of Governors meeting in the American Hockey League, you go around the room and more than half the people in there are ex-goalies. A lot of them I didn't even play goal. And then they talk about their goaltending days. And I'm like, I didn't know you played goal. Like,
See what we asked, guys.
But it's all ex. Like, and again, I think it's just we're as goalies, we analyze stuff, and being a goalie, sitting in the, whether you're on the bench or in the goal, you're always watching and analyzing.
Right.
And so you're always doing that.
You
like
have to be diversified,
and you're even analyzing a play coming down on you. Is it a long 1-3-on-2, and things change fast, but you're sitting watching everything. You're taking everything in as a goalie, either in the net or on the bench. And I think that's why our mindset's there. A couple of times, Chevy, when I was assistant coach, Chevy asked me if I wanted to be the head coach. He goes, I know the answer, but I got to ask you, do you want to be the head? Are you interested in being the head coach? He wasn't offering me the job. Are you interested? I said, no, I don't have that head coaching mindset. I don't know what it's like to score a goal. I don't know all these things. I know systems, but to have that whole feeling of the whole system, and I've never been in that position, and I truly don't think I would be a good head coach.
The diversification of what you just said is amazing because, you had to learn a lot of different hats of the organization. I want to bring up two things, and then I kind of want to do a little thing because we want to get to know you a little bit better before I go, but I'm going to shoot a date at you. What do you remember about December 1st, 2001 at the Allstate?
Well, it was quite it was humbling, actually. First of all, it was very humbling that the team would do that. It was so nice to have family there and appreciation of the fans. It kind of validated your career. Everyone wants to be appreciated, and I think that's what you really came out of it. I felt appreciated for what I did, what I try to do for the organization. I think I was fairly successful in helping get the franchise more so get the franchise off the ground and set a standard in every way. So just that all those things of having so many people together that and have that recognition and kind of validate, I guess, your career and your time with the Chicago Wolves. And what I'm talking about, I don't
number one in the Raptor.
We haven't even said what it was. They retired my number and raised my number to the Raptors at the Allstate. So that's where all that humbling, and it still is. Like I go to the Allstate and I see my name and number up in the up in the rafters, and it's almost surreal. It's humbling. All those words, I don't
Sure.
even know what words to use. And I always tell people, I go, it's actually the doormat, and they were just washed it, and they're just letting it dry. They're just hanging it to dry. So, but
But
it's an unbelievable privilege. And again, it's been a privilege to be able to play hockey at any level, and it's a privilege to be still involved in the game. And I never forget that, how lucky and privileged I am to be
that
a
was
part
something. That was
of
something
the
that day.
organizations. Yeah.
And then I want to tell our audience that you got something coming up here, February 11th, over at I think it's going to be in Rockford. You are
Yeah.
going into the AHL Hall of Fame. That's going to be on the 11th here. And well, we got about 8 days. In 8 days, you're going to be. And again, congratulations. When I saw that, I says I had to bring that up to our audience. This will happen in Rockford. And there's something I'm going to say to about you at the end. That someone said about you about this, but I got to tell you, when I saw that, I mean, it just really defines your career.
Well, yeah, I was shocked by it, first of all. You know, it's accumulation of, I played in the American League, but I didn't play a lot in the American League, maybe five parts of 5 seasons. And it went in a Calder Cup in Hershey, and we didn't lose a game in the playoffs there. So that was probably my top season, accolades that way, being, MVP of the playoffs and everything. But I think it's more so, being a part of the Chicago Wolves is the reason I'm going into the American League Hall of Fame. And again, it's humbling that see my peers and see the people that are already in the Hall of Fame, and
Sure.
have my name amongst them. It's unbelievable. And having it in Rockford, uh, having family there is going to make it even nicer, and it's more about them than me at this point. But a little thing about Rockford, Mark Bernard's their GM, and ironically, we're a heated rivalry on ice, but he's one of my best friends in the game, and we're tight. And he's actually one that nominated me for
Yes.
this prestigious award.
That
So
that is going to be something really special coming up here in a week. Unbelievable. All right,
yeah.
well, listen, I'm going to do a thing of 5 questions. You answer them any way you want, and just wait. I want our audience to get to know you just a little better, and we'll start it this way. When you're driving that car or you're at home and you got that chance to daydream after a long day of doing what you're doing, um, who are some early mentors that you remember? It could have been your parents or it could have been anybody, but you still remember and say, wow, I went through all this, a player, an executive, all the things I've done. I remember these guys or this lady or somebody.
Yeah, it comes down to probably my coaches. There's certain people, I tell the people all the time, I go, there's certain people that come through your life that you remember. And, I've had minor hockey league coaches. I've had coaches at pro or GM at pro, like that have in some way have taken me on my path. I think that's the biggest thing. Sometimes I sit back and, and a lot of my memories are not so much on ice, but the funny things that have happened, or if somebody has done something for you to, we talked about Gino Briaco earlier, my senior advisor.
Yeah.
He's done a lot for my career. He helped me get to Pittsburgh, helped me get to Tampa, and, he brought me into Chicago. So people like that is, like good people that have good intentions and have done so much for me in my life. That's what I daydream.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah. All right. I'm going to ask you, what's a movie you could watch 200 times and not get bored? Give me one or
Slap
two.
shot, slap shot, Johnny Dangerously. I don't,
Okay.
most people don't know Johnny Dangerously, but Michael Keaton's in it, and but slap shot, yeah, those will probably be my top two.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a horror film
Bring
person.
the
I'm not a scientific person. I need comedy or more a documentary, but
okay, cool. So we're not
slap shot.
hiring the chief Scolito to come to the Wolves. Yeah, not the
And again, like this is how fortunate I've been that I get to meet the Hanson brothers, and I've got
oh my
pictures with
God.
stuff like that. They like this is how fortunate I've been in my life, and I tell people, yeah, I know the Carlsons.
Sure.
And Gino Bracco had the Carlson brothers and stuff that played, the Hansons and stuff.
Crazy,
So it's just
right?
crazy. Yeah, it's just crazy. That
I guess
again,
somehow this is a full circle thing.
yeah. And
Exactly.
again, like how lucky am I? Like this again, it's how
Wow.
lucky am I.
Well, all right. What's the song, even to this day? Give me one or two. What's the song, even during those days when you knew you were going to play and or whatever, or the pregame, the after game? What's the song, man, when you're in the car and you're coming to the office? What's the song that gets Wendell Young going?
So I love music. I love live music. I love going there. So it'll go back to my junior days and my first year of pro. I lived with four other guys, Al McGinnis, and Mike Eagles, and two other guys. So there was five of us in this billet family. And the one guy had a car, and we had nothing but AC/DC on, and it was Hell's Bells all the time. And that was kind of the song that it was always in my head. And Hell's Bells, when that comes on, there's like a smile comes on my face. And uh, a quick story about that. A couple years ago, my youngest boy, my Christmas gift was he took me to Nashville to see AC/DC. So,
Did they put in the song Hell's Bells?
oh, and I'd never seen them before live, and so I
Oh,
like
wow.
here's like 45 years later, I'm actually getting to see the song that I love live.
Fantastic, fantastic. All right. You've been in this town for a while. Give me two or three restaurants you'd like to take the missus to? What's the go? What's the go-to? What's the go-to when you gotta keep the lady happy?
Well, you know what? We love food. We love cooking. Like I love to cook. Like people golf,
Okay.
I like to cook. So that's a big thing with me. And I always put it this way. I go, people like to golf, I like to cook, and I didn't say I'm a good golfer. I like to cook. So I've had some hits or misses, and I always have a pizza joint on speed dial just in case, because there's been stuff I've made and it hasn't been very good, and then there's other stuff that I hit a home run with. And but I food intrigues me. I think it's one of the few things that hits every sense, smell,
For
touch,
sure.
you taste everything,
Yeah,
visual, like it's one of the things in life. So I enjoy that. But in the rural world, we're pretty simple. Like I like a deep dish Malnati's. I love my Portillo burger. That's my go-to. I live in Arlington Heights, and we get some good restaurants right downtown Arlington Heights. Pizzero's has been our
yeah.
favorite in the last while. And so yeah, so we've used Chinese and food in Schaumburg. So we really enjoy high-end restaurants, but we just like
Yeah. So I could get you Johnny's beef sometime in Arlington Heights
oh,
Road, right? Okay.
Johnny's Beef 100%. That's on Arlington Heights Road. Actually, they have
Yeah, I'll meet you one day.
their
I'm coming from
outpost.
Elk Grove. So I'll
Yeah,
meet.
yeah, 100%. That's another spot. Like that's not so much taking my wife out, but that's me and the boys getting
For
something from there.
sure,
And
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Well, listen, this has been. I'm going to say one last question, then I got to say something about you. Um, I asked you right away because this goaltending thing for me when I was a kid was amazing. Like I said, I wanted to be. I'll ask you this before I ask you the question. Who was your favorite goalie growing up?
This is people won't know the name. It's Jules Maloshin. Used to play for the
Sure.
Minnesota North
He was
Stars.
he was here in Chicago. We traded him for Gary Smith.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Jill's
this
a great
this
goaltender.
so I said I didn't have a goalie coach, and Jules was kind of my goalie coach. He wasn't around that much and didn't work on technique with me in Pittsburgh. But he ended up being my goalie guy or whatever.
Yeah,
And so I told him when I first got to Pittsburgh, I said, Jules, you were my favorite goalie growing up. He goes, yeah, right. And he was like kind of brushed me off that I was kissing butt. So I literally went home and went through my old stuff, and I found the yearbook for the Vancouver Canucks, the media guide. And I brought it in, and it actually said favorite goalie, Jules Malosha. I brought it in, and I go, hey, just know that I'm not kissing butt and I'm not lying. I go, look, he goes, how would you pick me as your favorite goalie? But I remember we were both backing up one time. I think I was with Vancouver, and he was with Pittsburgh. and the benches, you basically no glass. We were sitting there talking the whole game, and it was one of those surreal times. I'm like, I can't believe I'm talking to Jules Malash right now. Like,
Yeah.
and then
Wow.
go forward. I know Jules well because of my relationship in Pittsburgh, but it's one of those things again. Like I
Yeah.
met so many things, childhood things that you never thought would happen in my
He
lifetime.
was a
And
great goaltender. I can still see him with Don Beaupre. I can
yeah,
still see both of them.
great goalie
Unbelievable.
on bad teams. That's usually what happened to him.
Oh,
He was a great goalie on bad teams
yeah.
because
Those Seals years should have
he's
put
got
him in a
like
hospital.
300. He's got like 300 wins, but he also has like 325 losses. He's like one
Yeah.
of the losest goalies ever.
Yeah.
But he's got
I,
he's got a ton of wins too. But he was on bad teams all the time.
yeah, Wendell, those Seals years should have put him in a hospital. I mean,
Oh, you know, 100%.
it's unbelievable. All right. From that first day, Nova Scotia, as the midget, Kitchener, Stanley Cups, Penguins, Tampa, Vancouver, Philadelphia, the Chicago Wolves. If Wendell Young had to do it all over again, is he doing it?
Oh, 100%, 100%. Like I said, I've lived a dream life, dream career. Hockey has done so much for me and my family, and not just financially or the accolades or any of that. It's about the people I've met, the friendships. Um, Probably the biggest thing is the friendships and the phenomenal characters that I've played
Sure.
and I know, and to this day, like
Fantastic.
I'm still friends with. I'm closer to. I have more friends that are equipment guys or medical guys or the fourth liners or the slugs than the superstars because I fought my whole career to stay. I try to be the hardest worker on the team to stay there. Like I stayed in the NHL longer than other people because I try to be the hardest guy, the best team guy. I was out early for practice. If there was a guy on the ice, I didn't leave because they wanted somebody to shoot on. So the guy fought hard, but because of that, I gravitated towards the hardest workers on the team,
Unbelievable.
and not so much the superstar guys. And I was more close to the guys that were I call ourselves the slugs, and we just slugged along and try to
So, yeah,
try to do something
right.
out of it.
Well, here's what I want to say about you here at the end. I know you had mentioned the GM of the Rockford Ice Hogs, Mark Bernard. Here's what he says about you. We're rivals on the ice and good friends off the ice. But Bernard says a work ethic and a family man like no other. He deserves this a long time ago. Remember, February 11th, if anybody's going to Rockford, AHL Induction Hall of Fame for Wendell Young. And Wendell, I want to tell you, I don't know how to thank you for coming on a conversation with John Conenna, but I can talk to you for another 2 hours about these hockey days. This was truly fantastic, and I thank you.
John, I appreciate it. I appreciate you spreading the word of hockey and everything. And, I got told one time that actually Grant Mulvey said it to me. He goes, and my brother's involved in hockey. He's been a pro scout forever. He works for an agency now, but coach Canadian college hockey. And he goes, you and your brother, he goes, you guys are disciples of hockey because you guys talk hockey, you watch hockey, you teach hockey.
Sure.
Hockey's your life. He goes, you guys spread the good word of hockey. He goes, you guys are disciples. That's what he called me. And I never thought about it. And I being farther in my career and being older, I see who really spreads and preaches hockey and why hockey's such a great sport. And you doing things like this and interviewing, like I saw who you've had interviewed and stuff, and even within my organization with Junior Bracco and Courtney Mahoney, who you interview, you spread the word, and that's an awesome thing for people.
Thank you.
I just want to I don't want to brush over the Mark Bernard thing because he's truly a great friend and a great person, and that just the way he speaks to me, that's the way I feel about him.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. This will go out on YouTube and Spotify in the coming days. Our interview today with Wendell Young, the vice chairman and governor of the Chicago Wolves, and of course, a great legendary career in hockey as a great goaltender and now a great executive. I want to give a plug out to his son-in-law, who I was able to coach, Nick DeSalvo, who put this together for me in a sense. So, and again, hugs to Nikki and your family. Just top-notch stuff, Wendell. I thank you.
Thank you. That goes to the hockey world again.
Okay.
Everyone knows everyone somewhere. And I like with Nick, I could not believe the amount. I can't believe the amount of people that he knows. It's phenomenal in the hockey world. So it's again, our hockey world is so close knit.
Incredible. And, I haven't
Family.
seen his brother. Danny DeSalvo played for the Manitoba Moose. And, of course, the old man, if you ever see him, because we were really close at one time, Larry. Larry was pretty good at Notre Dame. He won a championship at Notre Dame here. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I can tell you. So Nick's over Christmas Eve or whatever. Nick's over, and I said, invite your brother Danny. And Danny comes over. He's over at our house. Sits down. I pour him a glass of wine. I go, I haven't seen you in a long time, Danny. He goes, yeah, the last time we saw each other, Wendell, you cut me. I had him at training camp, and I cut him from training camp. He goes, the last time I saw you, you actually cut me from the Wolves. I'm like, and in hindsight, I ended up bringing him back to the Wolves, and he played some games for us. When he
Yes, he did. He did.
So
I thought you were going to do the Bart Simpson when you cut him.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I just started laughing. I go, hey, dude. But
Okay.
yeah, so I end up bringing him in. So he's actually got a Wolves to Salvo jersey. So yeah, he ended up playing
Good.
the Wolves, yeah, which was awesome.
Wendell, thank you again, and have a great day. And we'll get this out to you.
You too.
You got
Thanks, bud. Okay, take care.
it. Bye.